Hey guys, this is Captain Cromwell on the 79 300 Weekender. Been away from the boat quite a few weeks now, about 3 weeks now, just because of work and getting things ready for another house that we have to sell. But finally got a chance to get back out here. Gonna try to get a bunch of things accomplished today. I'm gonna try to separate the videos for the things I need to get done. First thing though is I need to go ahead and replace the bilge pumps. They still work, but the floats got jammed, so the automatic portion of it is not kicking on. So I'm going to go and replace that. I got to do some technical abilities on one of them just because of the way to reach it, so I'll show you what I'm going to do there to make that work. Also going to work on getting changing the name, putting the new vinyl decals on the boat, along with the new MC numbers, because they changed states registrations on this boat. Also going to be installing a GoPro. Well, it's Ion. It's a waterproof GoPro. I'll be mounting that to the arch here, and a few other things I'm going to be trying to get done. So stay tuned, and we'll see what we can get knocked out today. Alright guys, so I'm going to work on the bilge pumps first here. But as you can tell, I got the covers off of here. Here's the back of the bilge. You see that one right there? That bilge pump right there, it's working only on manual, so it doesn't work on the automatic. You see some standing water in there. Basically, the boat is pitching away from the back, basically towards the middle, just because of the weight from the engine while it's just sitting still. So I got two Merry Cruisers 5.7s here. They're new rebuilds from about 3 years ago, prior to me buying the boat. So if you look down here in this, underneath this brace, in between these two engines, there's the second bilge pump. That's the forward one. So that one's not working at all. And what I'm thinking has happened is we got quite a bit of rain a while ago, and with the boat sitting still, it moved some debris around, and I think the floats inside these bilge pumps got jammed with debris that I just hadn't gotten to cleaning out. So that's my main goal today, is get these replaced. So I got my trusty shop vac here, and I'm going to basically start by sucking out all this water here, try to clean up as much debris as I possibly can, and see what we're dealing with once that happens. But you see where the position of this pump is. You got a brace right here, which, you know, I could take the brace out easily, and laying on top of the engine, I might be able to reach down in there, but we'll see when I get after I get all the water cleaned out. Maybe take this brace off, and we'll see what we can reach, and getting that down in there. Because I know from other forums and sites and videos I've seen, it's a real pain to get to that one. Alright, I'll get back to you once I get all this water out of here. Alright guys, so after about maybe 5, maybe 6 dumps of my shop vac, I got the bilge all cleaned up. Basically I took my hose while I was vacuuming it up and sprayed it all down, kind of got all the dirt and grime off the bottom of the bilge, engine area and everything. And this is what we're left with now. Pretty nasty still for that bilge pump. And so we actually have 2 different types of bilge pumps on here. We got this one here, and then we have this one in the back. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start with the back because I've never done this before. It's easily accessible. I decided to go with this, what is this, Atwater? What is this one here? Well, this is the one I ended up going with. There's a lot of different ones out there. You know, the price is good. I think this was only $30, I think, for one. But you can go up to $150 on different ones, depending on the size of the boat you have and your needs. This one does have the automatic float inside of it, which is kind of nice. But when I was reading the directions, but also when I was looking online on how to set these things up, they said to do some alterations to it so the bottom there doesn't get clogged up. And I'm going to show you kind of what I'm going to be doing to prevent that. So I'm going to take some time, take that one apart in the back, and get this one set up and see how we do it, and then we'll try to tackle that front one, which is going to be a beast. Alright. Alright, guys. So, I got the old Bilge out. And, of course, what I'm finding is that the wiring is never the same. Why would it be? That'd be too damn easy, right? Now, if I remember correctly, I thought this Bilge was, the old one here, was an automatic. Well, I don't know if I was just not paying attention thinking it was automatic. I thought it was. But here's what the wiring looked like. We have, where is it? Here we go. The one of the blue, that was going to hot. The one bare, that was going to ground. There is a green wire in here as well, but it was not connected to anything. So, when I was looking at this whole thing, I'm trying to figure out, okay, so how does the automatic float work on this thing? Maybe it didn't have an automatic float. I don't even know now. Okay, you'd think that it ought to have some type of automatic float in some way, shape, or form, but that's not the case. At least not that I can remember. At least that's not how the wiring is set up. So, here's the new one. Alright. Oh, there's the new one. We got 3 wires. Okay, we got black, brown, brown, white. Alright, well, black in this one is going to be our ground. Brown is going to be our hot. Look at that little hot sign there. It's pretty cool. Brown white is going to be our automatic float. So, here was the challenge. Black went to common. I've got a common bar down there. If you can see it, I don't know. Yeah. And I've got a hot wire down there. But I had nothing going for the automatic switch. But I'm like, okay, this is not making any damn sense. So, I took a walk over to my marina shop. And I talked to the mechanic's like, well, that makes sense because some of the stuff is never what you expect it to be. He said, go ahead and run your hot to your switch, which is the way it is already. That bare wire down by the common, now it's hot. Run your common to common, obviously that bus bar. And then said, run your automatic straight to the battery. And I'm like, okay, well that makes sense. And I'm going to be putting 2 of these Bilge pumps in, so I'm going to run them together. Now he said, and this makes sense, and even in the directions here, I read the directions sometimes. He said, make sure you put a fuse in there. I'm like, okay, that's easy, 15 amp fuse. He said, why don't you do it the easy way though? Instead of spending money on the fuse holder and all this other stuff, all you have to do is run a connector. This little fancy connector, which I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with. And that slides right into the 15 amp slot. So no fuse holder, just connect it just like this. Hold on once. So just connect it like so. One going to the pump, other line going to the battery. And do this on each one of the bilge pumps. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run bilge pump to the fuse to, I got a fancy connector somewhere. Oh, here it is. It's this pretty cool fancy connector here. I know it's not marine grade, it's house grade, but it's going to be in a position where it's not going to be getting wet up by the battery. And then I can run both bilge pumps to this line and then one line to the battery. So I'm only connecting one to the battery. So that's how I'm going to get around to the different wiring here. And I'm going to get that knocked out. I'm going to show you what the first one looks like. And then we're going to tackle the beast that's back here between the 2 engines. Alright. Alright guys, so I'm back. I got the bilge area where this pump is going all cleaned out again. There was still a little bit of debris down in that hole that I had to take care of after I figured out the wiring situation that I just talked about. So I opened it up and everything, and in the instructions it talks about you taking this bracket off. You basically unclip it, unclip the bottom, and you got to make sure you take this styrofoam piece out, because that was blocking, basically this holding the float up. So if you see it, when you got this float here, this is an internal float. See that? On, off. On, off for the automatic portion. So what it talks about in the instructions and in the directions is take a piece of plywood. Now, I'm not a big fan of using thin plywood on the bottom there. So I got this piece of pressure treated wood that I just got from when I just redid a deck. It's about this piece of it this isn't the decking. This was just the runners, or whatever you want to call them, for the decking. This was basically 1.5 inches thick, and it's not too big, but it's big enough to where you screw this basket onto the block of wood. Now, the instructions say to go ahead and glue it, but I don't know why it says that when you've got screw holes in there. So I don't know why the hell you can't just do that. Now, I talked about earlier about keeping it from getting blocked. So I went, when I was at Lowe's, I was looking at different things. And where is it? Oh, I don't even know what I did with it now. Let me see if I can find it. I was looking at different, oh, here it is. So I was looking at different things to work on this. And I have to do some jimmy rigging right now to make this work. But basically I found this, this goes a part of, like, I found this at Lowe's in the gutter section. I didn't want too fine of holes because that's going to get clogged too easily. But I wanted a second layer of defense for stuff getting jammed and then having this whole issue all over again. So I've got this basket here. I'm going to work on cutting it down to where it's just the right size wiring to go basically just around the bottom of this thing so it keeps it from getting jammed. So I'm going to work on that right now. I got to measure that block. If that block is too big, I'm going to cut. I got my skill saw with me out here at the dock as well, so I'll do that as needed. So that's where we're at right now, and I'll show you what I come up with this stuff here once I got it figured out. All right, guys, here's a quick update for things. So I went ahead and got that rear stern, I guess you want to call it, yeah, stern bilge pump put in. I've already tested it out. I don't have the automatic switch hooked up yet just because I'm working on this one first. Here's what I end up doing for the, I guess you want to call it a basket around it. Nothing too pretty. Here's what I end up doing though, is that I decided that the original board I had was just too thick. And the screws I had were too long, even with that board. So instead of like half-assing it, trying to make it work, I went and got a different piece of board, another pressure-treated board. Not sure if that's the right thing to use or not, but I felt that'd be the best thing for something that's be sitting in the water. Try to keep it from preventing to be too bad rotten. Now, I did screw that board to the hull. Now, doing so, you always got to be careful, making sure, A, your screws are not too long, because you don't want to be piercing through the bottom of the hull. Now, I was fortunate, this boat, being as old as it is, it's a 1-inch thick hull. So, damn thing's thick as shit. But some of the newer boats, you got to be careful that shit's not as thick. Now, one thing I did is I pre-tapped the screws into that board, and to the point where they were piercing through. And why did I do that before I started screwing it down? Is at the back side of that board, where the screws are, I went ahead and put on this Fast Cure 5200. Alright? So I put a good, I would say, quarter-size dollop on each screw head, or not screw head, but the point screw where it came through on the back side of the board before I screwed into the hull. Now, obviously, I'm not piercing the hull, but regardless, you always want to have something that's protecting in water and preventing any type of leaks. Now, if you don't have that on your boat at all times, you need to go ahead and do so. I've only been boating a few months, if you've been following along with my other posts, but I've learned a few things, and that's very important to have available as well. So that one right there is a fast cure. It cures even in water. So as you see, there's water in the bilge, it will cure. It takes a little longer to cure that way, but it does cure regardless. But it's a lot faster than the 24, 48 week-long, 2-week-long adhesives that are out there. So I went ahead and did that. So this is the basket. Not the greatest basket, but I've already noticed it working. Okay, it surrounds it at least to the point where the inlet is for the pump. So it already worked. I already checked it out. I'm going to go ahead and re-vacuum it out with my shop vac after to try to get any more of that debris out of there. Try to keep it as clean as possible. So over on the other side, the middle one, I went ahead and got that brace out of there. And amazingly enough, I'm skinny enough that I might actually be able to fit in between here to do a little bit of work. You know, it doesn't happen for very many people. This shit's only about, I don't know, 10 inches, maybe a foot wide, maybe. So this is a different pump than what I had in the back. This one actually has a separate float device, if you notice that. So I got to look at the wiring on this and see what I need to do. I'm hoping that it's going to be the same wiring setup. I just have extra wires right now. I'm going to get all that cleaned up. I'm going to get that out of there. And then I'm going to use my shop vac to clean up that water and my hose to spray off all that gunk out of there. So I got a clean working area. And we'll kind of go from there. All right, so that's where we're at, guys. And I'll check back with you as we go along. All right, so we are officially wrapped up with this project. Let me show you what we have going on down here. This is the front one in between the engines. So, you see I put a little basket around it as well, just like the other one. Tested it, works great. Both float, both automatic and manual. So here's what was in there. It was... So you remember how I said I knew it was automatic? Well, one of them was automatic. Yeah, it was this one. So there was a pedal switch connecting over to that one. So the wiring actually was correct on this one. So we had a hot wire straight from the battery to the switch, then from the switch to the pump, and then had the hot from the dashboard switch with the ground to it as well. So I was able to shortcut and use that wire, which was already put in place, for connecting to the battery for both the front and back. So now both front and back are manual and also automatic. Now the back one, because of the tilt of the boat, will not kick on the automatic float because of the pitch. But I trust that it works. The manual works, and the automatic on the front one kicks on as well. So let me just show you what's going on here. Let's spray some water down here. See, hit the float and it went up and it worked. So there it goes again. Now I'm going to go up to my dashboard real quick. Oh, there's that. And I'm going to come up here, and I've got my Bilge pump switch. The up is the forward one. Down is the manual. It's the back one. Now that was a little louder because there's not as much water in that one. So, like any first project with any boat, it took a lot longer than I wanted it to. But I'm happy that this is done, and that the bottom of the bilge area is all cleaned up as well. I started this probably, what, 11:30, 12 o'clock. It's about 4 o'clock now. So, what's that, 4, maybe 5 hours? Obviously, I wanted to do this in 2 hours. But being a first time, it takes a little longer. But it's done, and it's done right. So, now the big project now is getting that support bar back there. Let's hopefully that goes smoothly. All right, I am out.